Hello and welcome to part 7 of the Johnny Blender 5 series, aka Little Jacky Terrier. When last I left you, we'd gone in and into cycles and started setting up his materials and got a little ways on the fur, but still needed some work with that. So that's where I left, and that's where we're going to pick up here. So if we go back to solid view, it'll be a little easier to work with, and we turn the particle system back on, we can kind of get an idea where we need to work on it. So you can, like in the render that we did, if we hit F11, I can still bring that up from part 6. You can see it's not working really well on his face. It works okay on his body for the most part, but it still needs a lot of work. So let's do that. Tell you what, let's do actually to make things even better. Since we have this whole new part to work on it, don't have to worry about time, is I'm going to go ahead and create another vertex group, and I'm going to call this one, actually let's rename that first one to fur body, and you might have guessed it, this one's going to be fur face. So I'm going to have two different particle systems for his face and his body, so it can get a little bit easier, it'll be a little easier to work with that way. So that being said, on the fur body, let's tab in here and select everything on his face, Control L, and let's go ahead and remove that from the fur body, and we'll come over to fur face now, but we're not going to add that because remember we have all the teeth and everything added there. So just select a couple of the faces there on the actual face, there we go, and we're going to go ahead and assign that to that vertex group. But we need to do like we did on the lips before. Go ahead and select one of the vertices in the mouth there, Control L. Make sure you're in face mode, by the way. And now we'll go to vertex mode and Control plus, Control plus, Control plus a couple of times. Actually, let's go one down, one less, and hit, and then we'll go ahead and select the inverse. I got an idea. That would be difficult to go in and undo everything. So tell you what, let's select. Let's see. I am frazzled right now. Done like this the third part. So anyways, let's see. What do we have on the fur face? Okay, everything there. Good. Okay, now get the face select mode again, and one of the vertices like on the tongue or inside the mouth. Control L. And vertex select, Control plus, and one not quite all the way out, but now we can hit remove from fur face, and now select. There we go. There we go. And I know last time I went ahead and took it off of the eye sockets, but I'm just going to leave it there this time because if we look in here, you can see it's very bald looking around there, so we'll just leave it like that. Okay, so let's get the body situated. So go to particle mode and go ahead and rename this one to fur body. And while we're at it, go to our modifiers and go ahead and name the particle system fur body. I would think that it would copy this from here, but it does not, even though they're the same thing. Anyways, let's the children and everything are all set up as they should be. I would like to make things a little longer and more numerous, so under children, let's go ahead and set that to 300 instead of 100. And then go ahead and make sure strand render and B-spline are turned on. I think I turned that off when I was figuring out why Cycle's hair wasn't on there in part 6, but we got that figured out. So now, tell you what, let's go ahead and turn on the subdivision of subsurf. Sometimes I run into problems if I shape the hair a certain way with no subsurf on, and then I turn subsurf on, and it kind of skews it, and it doesn't look the way I had designed it before. So anyways, one subsurf, and we'll go to particle edit, and tell you what, let's go ahead and collapse this window over here, so we got a little bit more space to work with. And we can grab the length here, and it's just like any other, fur feature in Blender internal. If you've messed with fur in there, it works exactly the same way. The only difference is down here, the Cycle's hair rendering. So everything else works the exact same way. So we can make the fur a little longer in different places on his body and tail, but then I'd like to make it shorter, shrink it there on his paws. And maybe, not sure why it's still showing on the face. It shouldn't be, because the vertex group should be for body. But I guess that's just for the children. Just for the children. Think of the children. Okay, we'll comb the ears now. And tell you what, set the deflect emitter. Let's make that 0.5, so we make sure we don't go into the model at all with some of these particles. And like I said before, the Jack Russells have rather short hair, short fur, so basically we're just wanting to get it just up off the surface. It doesn't really need to be fluffy. So just up off the surface so it's not coming back into the model at all. Okay. And right now we're seeing only 10 children per parent strand when it's going to render 300. So to get a little better idea, let's go to 30, and that'll be like 10%. So that's looking a little better. Maybe comb this out a little bit. Okay, and you can spend however long you like getting that fur to look just like you want. I actually might, before I do the final render to show everyone the little guy, I might go ahead and tweak it quite a bit more off camera, so I don't waste everyone's time. But okay, so that's going to look all right. Tell you what, let's go back to object mode. Let's go ahead and save this, and I'm going to change some of the settings in the render. Let's make that, I like to go 1280 by 720 rather than 1080. I like 720p instead of 1080 when it comes to rendering in Blender. But, okay, and I also like to display in a new window. So let's go ahead and save that and go ahead and render out one scene here. And I'll go ahead and pause recording until that finishes, so be right back. Okay, and that's done. I think the fur looks pretty good on the body for the most part. It could obviously use a little bit more work here and there, but overall I'm satisfied with that. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the face. So let's go ahead and turn that one off for now, just the visibility, and we'll go back to particle mode. Scroll up here, add a new one, and let's call this one fur underscore face. Go ahead and set that to be hair. Same deal as before. Under emission, set the length down to real small, about maybe even 0.1. Even that might be too long. So let's go 0.05. Kind of just a fuzzy fur on the face, not real long. So we'll have to edit it to kind of blend into the previous the body here, but we'll get to that soon. Under density, go ahead and say for face. There we go. And children interpolated. And kind of get an idea what it's going to look like. It's going to be a lot more dense because all original 1,000 hairs are going to be there on the face itself instead of spread throughout the whole body. So you could change that number if you like, but I'll go ahead and leave it at 1,000 for now. Okay, so what we need to do now is go ahead and start styling it. So particle edit, comb, and let's go ahead and, okay, distance deflect emitter is 0.5 already, and that's good. So we'll just kind of comb this to kind of be streamlined with the rest of the face. Like so. Okay, now we got the face pretty well set. Let's go ahead and make sure it uses material number 2 as well. And also strand render, B-spline. and set the thickness of it to even smaller than the body hair. So let's make it 0.35 or so. And okay, now we'll go ahead and turn the visibility of the body hair back on. Go ahead and rename this here as well for face, so we can make sure we blend into it on the face. So we're still in particle edit mode. Let's go ahead and set the length to grow there around the outer edge of the face. Okay, kind of just grow that in to where it blends in nicely with the body hair. And you could, if you wanted to, you could go in and add whiskers and things like that. Say if you wanted to do a cat or something instead of a dog. I guess dogs kind of have whiskers too, but they're not quite as prevalent as a cat's. Okay, so one last thing before I call the hair part done, or at least stopping point. Let's go back to the fur body, and I want to add some tufts of hair inside the ears. So go ahead and set the length there. Let's go ahead and grow inside the ear quite a bit more, like so. Do the same thing on this side over here. It's going through the head, isn't it? Oopsie. I undid, and it changed a lot of things. Okay. Not sure what happened there, but let's go ahead and save, and I'll go ahead and do another test render. And we'll see what he looks like. Go ahead and save, and F12. Okay, and this is what it's looking like. I guess when I undid something, it messed up our blending that we had done between the face and the body. But one thing I can see is around the nose, it's starting to take on that color of the nose. We don't want that, so we're going to have to edit our vertex group. And one other thing I'd like to do is it looks, the fur on the face looks pretty good the way I want, except for some of these bald patches, it looks like. But the width of the base of that is 0.35, whereas the width of the body hair is oops. Okay. If we go to fur body and go down here to cycles rendering, you can see the root thickness is 0.5 on the body, but then on the face it's 0.35. So let's make the body 0.35 also. And remember, like I said, it was taking on some of the coloration of the nose, so we need to edit our vertex groups. If we select for face, okay, you can see it's selecting this loop as well. So let's remove that loop, and then that should work okay. Now, let's go ahead and instead of making the face hair longer, let's make the body hair shorter there around the head. So let's go to our particle mode for body, good. Particle edit. And length, let's go ahead and shrink that. Tell you what, so we can get a better view, let's set our children display to say 50 or 60. It's not really doing an accurate display. For some reason the fur face, when I changed that, it did the whole body. No, it didn't. Okay. Oi. So we had some, if we look at our render, we see we've got some weirdness going around here on the cheeks and then under the eyes. So let's if I can get my tool in the right spot there, puff, and we'll just run this along like there on the eyes. Oh, I need to set this render to be 100% random as well. That'll help out a lot. Okay, just so things work a little smoother, let's turn off the body for now. There we go. Okay, now feel free to spend as much time as you have patience for getting this hair to look right, because if you don't, well, you got problems like this. So I'm kind of trying to rush through here just for the sake of a tutorial. Don't want to spend too long on it. But if you have time and patience, I highly encourage you to really give him the full salon treatment. Spend as much time as you want, as you can, as you have time for. Okay, so we just got all that puffed up. Hopefully that'll look a little better now. So, tell you what, go back to object mode. I'll go ahead and render again. Maybe that'll look better. Go and turn that off in viewport mode. So I'll go ahead and render, and we'll see what it looks like. Be right back. Okay, I think that looks pretty good for the most part. There's still some weirdness around the eyes, and there's like a bald spot right there on his ear. But overall, you get the idea. One thing we can do to make the fur look a little bit better is kind of like we did on the skin. And let's go ahead and separate this window back to materials. Node editor, there we are. Back to materials. We can add a glossy sheen to it. So we're going to add another input. Actually another shader, and it's going to be glossy BSDF. There we go. And now we will add a mix shader right there. Go ahead and drag that down into the stream there, and then just drag this to there. Now we can't really see what it's doing, but we kind of know from the body. If we go back here, kind of see on the skin we have a roughness of 0.35. And then it's a mix shader of 0.1. So let's do the same thing for the fur. 0.35 roughness, and what was it? 0.1 on the mix. Yes. Okay, so that should give the fur a little bit of a sheen, a little bit of a healthy coat. Before I go any further, let me go ahead and fix that feet, because those feet, because they're that feet. They are bugging me, so we'll go ahead and puff that up a little bit on the feets, on the little feetsies. Okay, so we'll call it good. Okay, so that's going to be it. I'll do one more render just to see what the new fur looks like, but after this, we'll get into part 8, I believe, and part 8 we'll go ahead and start rigging, finally. So it's going to take a little while to render, so I'll be right back. Okay, so that's that. And one thing I thought of while this was rendering is there's another trick we can do to make this fur look a little better. I'm going to escape out there, and that is to go ahead and use the hair info to make it more soft looking, have it fade out a little bit. Now, as it stands right now, this is purely theory in my head. So I tell you what, I'm a teacher. Look at me. Let me pause recording and kind of goof with this a little bit till I can get it working the way I think it's going to work, and I'll be right back. Okay, with a little bit of practice on the side, I think I got something working here. So what we want to do is we want to use the intercept and the hair info to kind of determine how our hair fades. We definitely want it to be solid at the base, at the root, and then slowly fade out to the tip. So the way we do that is we have this transparent BSDF that we had in there. Good to go. We also need this mix shader. We're going to duplicate that because we're going to basically take everything that we've already done for the fur that's going to be on one side of the mix, and then it's going to fade out via the with the transparency. And we'll use a color ramp with the intercept to control the factor of the transparency. So, okay. So this mix shader from the original material is going to come down here to that, and go ahead and select or drag the noodles come on. Oi, when I have fur, or the render setting here, it likes to go really slow. So I'll tell you what, maybe we can just set the sampling on the preview down to say 5. Maybe it'll be a little more handy. Okay, go ahead and kill that noodle there. We don't need that. Okay, so now we're mixing the original fur material and everything with transparency. So you can see now it kind of gets halfway transparent, which is good, but we don't want it to be all transparent. So what we're going to do is copy. All right, we don't need to copy the hair info, but we do need to copy the color ramp. So we'll copy that down to here. Scroll up here, and let's change the gray to black. Okay, and then change the very, very light gray all the way back up to white. Okay, and then set the hair intercept. My goodness, this is lagging. Okay, set the hair intercept down to the factor of the color ramp, and then set the color of the color ramp to the factor of the mix shader between the original material and the transparency. So we'll go up like that. So just so you can see, oh, this is this is frustrating. Behave, Blender, behave. Okay, so we got the original material that we had before going to this mix shader that's mixing with a transparency, and the factor of that mix is with this slider here. So you can see kind of the hair kind of fading out, whereas before, if we just set that like so, you can see it's very, very rough looking, like so. But there's a good example right there if you can see it. But if we go ahead and run that back, come on, oi, all right. There. You can see it fades out a little bit better. So now, okay, so I'll go ahead and save that. And I will render out one more version of a little pooch. And you can see what it looks like with that softer hair look. So I've got the render window open right back behind here. So I'll go ahead and hit F12. Go ahead and pause recording. Be right back. Okay, and you can see that it makes the fur look quite a bit softer. Now, one thing that would make this a better render is if it had a lot more samples in the render settings, and also if I fixed that ear. That's kind of bugging me, right? It looks like the mange or something. But in between this part, what are we on, part 7 here, and part 8, I'll go ahead and clean the fur up a little bit more using the same techniques I showed you before. And then I'll go ahead and fix that spot right there, and maybe get this looking a little bit better. But in any case, we're ready to start rigging in part 8. So thank you for watching up till now, and I'll catch you in part 8.